The film has fantastic action, probably better than any masala film in recent times. And I'm willing to bet my hat on that. But that is still, despite me working so hard in that, that is still secondary. The first 35 minutes, one would even be forgiven to think, क्या मैं जाने तू या जाने ना देख रहा हूँ? Like, what's happening?
The question you asked was that whether or not that was like a deciding factor because it was an event film. I wouldn't have been in the film if it wasn't
absolutely
about his life.
I think the audience was there 20 years ago.
True.
Because of South Indian films doing well on Setmax, because of Bahubali 7 years ago, because of several reasons. I think it's the industry that never caught on. Badrinath Ki Dulhania, for example, is one of my favorite Hindi films, as is KGF.
There was someone I was really into at one point, and I felt like the intensity of my emotions were not reciprocated. I was very young at the time, and I don't think I had the maturity to understand deeply, but I think I was just like obsessed with wanting that validation from said person, and I didn't find it, and that diminished my sense of self-worth.
I'm not going to be the kid from Hyderabad who gets denied. I'm going to make movies, and I'm going to make sure that I try and touch the hearts of millions of people with my own stories without having to worry about being a cardboard cutout. A lot of us, especially who are familiar with Mahesh's humor, know that he said it half in jest, and also, what does that even mean? So,
there are several films, documentaries and short films made on 26/11, but Major stands out to be different because it doesn't talk about the incident only. When I saw the first look poster, I was amazed because I had spoken to Adivi just before the first look poster had released, and I remember telling you that you look exactly, I think it was a half and half poster, and I felt like you had uncanny resemblance to Major Sandeep. And that's what worked for the film. But when I watched the trailer, I was mind blown. Today I have the entire cast joining me because it's a very special film. So Sobhita, Saiee and Adivi joins me for a conversation only on Bollywood Bubble. Thank you guys.
Hi,
it indeed is a very special film. You've written and you act in a film. You're a writer. Does it sometimes, I wanted to ask you this at the trailer launch also, but I thought I'll save it for my interview. When you're a writer and an actor, does it sometimes take over your art in any way? Like, does it overlap?
Sure, it can cross-pollinate. But I think I'm an actor first. The writing sort of happened early on in my career because I come from outside the movie business. I didn't know anybody. There was no way I was going to land the lead role in a film that I was going to like. And the ones I would get offered, I wouldn't like. So I one day came up with the idea, I have ideas that I want to write about. Let's try and see what happens. And I think that sort of matured. But at the end of the day, I'm an actor first. So I especially love the idea of acting out someone else's lines. But Major Sandeep, it felt like I was doing someone else's lines because so much of what I wrote was based on what Uncle and Amma told me. So that was pretty glorious.
You know, what I loved about the film and the trailer was initially when I thought of Major, I thought you're going to make a movie only about 26/11. And I genuinely wanted to tell you this, that when I movie ka trailer dekha, mujhe itna pasand aaya because sometimes when we see these kind of event-based film, it's not an event-based film. People might think it could have been an event-based film, but it talks about a journey of a major which we really don't get to see or know. You know, it's about an entire life. I love Revati ma'am's line in the trailer. Sometimes as a soldier, we don't get to know about their stories, like how they have been off the field. Was that a major thing that drew you towards the film? I'll start with you, and then I'll move that side.
This film actually tracks the story of Major Sandeep Unnikrishnan's life. You know, his childhood, his school days, his school crush, his beautiful romantic life, his family, his army training days. 31 years of life, and on the other side there's about 36 hours roughly of the operation in Taj. So these two tracks run parallel, and at some point they collide. So this is not just a story of how Major Sandeep Unnikrishnan died. It's a story about how he lived his life, which is worth celebrating because he was an exceptionally charming man, so full of like he was just radiant, happy, action movies fan. Like all the women had like a crush on him. He was that guy, and for him to have done something so extraordinary in a crisis makes him so worthy of celebration and respect. I play Pramoda. I play a hostage in the Taj attacks. It's based on a real person, actually.
Did you meet that person?
No, I didn't get to meet the person.
I spent a couple of days with him.
Yeah, Sesh, and
Extremely private. So we changed his gender.
And gender and name to guard his privacy. For someone to just walk into a hotel, you check in, and you're probably having a cup of coffee in your room, and suddenly you hear these sounds. And I mean, the thought that, like terrorists, like bomb blasts, gun firing, like how do you digest that? Like, what are you supposed to do? How does one go through that experience? So irrespective of what happens out of it, whether the person, like say, even if they come out alive, they're changed forever.
Absolutely.
So to play someone like that, it was a privilege, because I mean, I'm very fortunate. I'm playing them. I'm very safe and secure from such a dire experience. But it was a privilege. It really like moved me immensely. I found great courage that yeah.
What about you, Sai?
You asked if whether the fact that it wasn't just an event-based film.
I'll tell you something. So when I watched Sher, everybody had different takeaways from the movie. For me, Dimple Chima's character was the biggest takeaway. Because I get drawn towards emotions, and I felt the biggest emotion in that tale was between the two lovers. And even when I watch Oh Isha, I love, again, maybe I'm an old school romantic, whatever, old school person. I love the whole picturization. जो प्यार है, तब के ज़माने का प्यार भी अलग होता था, right? 90s का प्यार.
पता नहीं.
मुझे पता है. Unfortunately, बस याद दिला दो कि हम लोग बुढ़े हैं. But that is the biggest takeaway for me. In any movie. What was your biggest drawing point from the film? Was that it?
From the film, I mean, leaving my character aside, I think I watched it yesterday, and I think Revati ma'am's and Major Sandeep's connection, like the mother and the son, I think that was my biggest, like, that was what struck out the most to me. And I think to most of the people in the theatre, that is what struck a chord. And that was just beautiful. And I feel like the question you asked was that whether or not that was like a deciding factor because it was an event film. I wouldn't have been in the film if it wasn't
absolutely
about his life. So I think I'm very glad that I got to be a part of a movie about a man that did such great things. And thank you for writing it so nicely. Honestly, like yesterday after the movie, I've had people come up to me and say that, tell Sesh it's one of the best screenplays I have ever seen in my life. And like, people that have seen many movies, have directed many movies, have written many movies, have come and said this to me.
No, it comes across. To be very honest, when you watch a promo and you know what to expect. Like I said, when I saw the poster, I knew for any biopic, especially, it is very important that you look the part also. And I feel that you look very similar to him. I don't know how, but you look like his long lost brother. And I'm not saying it because you are here. I've actually said this to you pehle also. And again, like she said, if you watch a film like KGF, KGF 2, KGF, again, the thing, people love the action and everything, it's fine, but I feel the connection that he had with his mother, again, spoke volumes to me. And I connect with emotions. When you're writing a screenplay and acting in it in a movie which is a biopic, how much of emotions is important for you to draw the audience?
It's the only thing that matters to me. I'm so glad you said what you did, because that's the only thing we cared about. Everything else is window dressing that supports this idea. The film has fantastic action, probably better than any masala film in recent times. And I'm willing to bet my hat on that. But that is still, despite me working so hard in that, that is still secondary to the core emotions of the film. How did Major Sandeep love his mother and father? What is his school crush like? How did he talk to his friends? What if they're all standing in the boys' bathroom? And what do they talk about? How did he bunk class and go watch a film? When he's walking in a shopping center in 1995, how did he buy ice cream? These small things in the first 35 minutes, one would even be forgiven to think, क्या मैं जाने तू या जाने ना देख रहा हूँ? Like, what's happening? We showed all these things because we wanted people to understand this is the kind of simple boy next door that he is and was. Only when the second half begins do you realize each of these scenes influences some of the biggest decisions in his life. मतलब माँ के साथ बैठे बैठे खीर खाना, पिताजी के साथ बैठे बैठे टाइपराइटर के बारे में बात करना. What does that have to do with him as a grown soldier in Kashmir, him as a grown soldier inside the Taj? You'll see it.
You know, I want to also ask you one question. It is an untold story of an extraordinary journey. You guys have had, you guys come from humble upbringings, and I want to know that there must be some stories. अगर आपके ऊपर कभी कोई movie बनी, तो there will be stories that would be unheard of, right? And rejection is something that can hit you off, even if you are from a film family. To be very honest, I want to know that what is the worst kind of rejection that you have faced that really hit you off your chair?
Damn, it's heavy duty.
Worst rejection.
Well, there's a couple of kinds. One, I remember when there's the work front where I started off as a model, and I was trying to find my feet, and I had done at least 1,000 auditions, and I couldn't land anything because they thought I wasn't pretty enough or conventionally like North Indian looking enough or whatever it was. But I've had the opportunity to surface from that because I found opportunity, right, in films, and it became important to me to prove myself. So that I dealt with. There's another kind of rejection where there was someone I was really into at one point, and I felt like the intensity of my emotions were not reciprocated. I was very young at the time, and I don't think I had the maturity to understand deeply, but I think I was just like obsessed with wanting that validation from said person, and I didn't find it, and that diminished my sense of self-worth at that time many years ago. Also something I've surfaced from, but I think these come to my mind.
Yeah. What about you?
I think for me it's a little bit scary because there's been no such rejection that kind of like that shook me, because like there were crushes, there was work, but it's never been something that has hurt me to the point where I can't forget it. But it's scary to think that it's going to come. Like there's going to be a day when that's going to happen, right? So I think it was scary. It scared me.
What about you?
I think a lot of people, when they're asked, when they're like 75 years old, do you have any regrets, this and that, a lot of them often draw a blank. Because I think when you think about your whole life, you're not quite sure about which one to pick, because if it's not coming to your mind immediately, it means it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Or it shaped you somehow, but didn't matter enough for you to remember it right in this moment. There's a couple I can think of, but I want to pick the one that was the most interesting rather than the most disturbing.
Okay.
So my film Kshanam in Telugu had become a blockbuster, made 10 times its budget, and been sold for Tamil, Hindi, Kannada, and a Sri Lankan version as well. And I was riding high on the success. I became friends with Taranada's ji. At that time, he waxed poetic. He tweeted poetic about the film, and he called me and spoke to me for an hour and said, "You got to come home. This is amazing." So I'm in a high. So I think, yeah, I'm making films in Hyderabad. Somebody in Bombay liked it. Let me go and see what this is about, because I wanted to make cinema that the whole nation watches. So I land in Mumbai, and I go, and this casting director, she gets in touch with me, and I go meet her. And I'm telling her about Kshanam, and she goes, "You see the DVDs behind me? Lots of South Indian heroes." I was like, "Okay." And then she suddenly goes, she does that. And I kid you not, like an assembly line, 7 guys just walk in, all perfectly fit, dressed, clean shaven. And I just showed up in a t-shirt and jeans. and she goes, "Dialogue." And first guy says it. Then she goes, "Dialogue." The second guy says it. "Dialogue." And third guy says it. And each of these guys said the same dialogue. It was almost like these robots, And I'm like, what is going on? And she said, "Aisa hota hai yahan, Bollywood mein, hamare yahan." And I was thinking, I'm going to make movies for all of India without having to care about this. without having to worry about this hierarchy. Because this is what denies that kid from Bhopal. This is what denies that kid from Ghatkopar. This is what denies that kid from Jammu. So I'm not going to be the kid from Hyderabad who gets denied. I'm going to make movies, and I'm going to make sure that I try and touch the hearts of millions of people with my own stories without having to worry about being a cardboard cutout.
Yeah. But you know, when you talk about that, art is a medium where it should unite rather than divide. But today, art has been used to divide a lot of people. When we talk about the North and South divide, I think there has been a time where people have actually faced that discrimination, to be very honest. Today, we are uniting. We call it an Indian film industry, but even when there are certain South films doing really well, there is a certain sense of divide, which I see in the media. Again, they're like, oh, Bollywood is over, X, Y, Z. This is a form of divide.
But not just art, everything's being used to divide.
Exactly. But you know, when you talk about a soldier, Yash in my interview said that we never really think कि एक soldier कहाँ से है. But when we think about an actor, we actually immediately say कि अच्छा बंगाली फिल्म करता है या मराठी फिल्म एक्टर है या साउथ फिल्म का एक्टर है या हिंदी फिल्म का एक्टर है. We do that segregation in our head automatic, and it's a conditioning, and it's a conditioning that is very deep rooted. Do you see that change? Because today even Wikipedia, I know everybody's going to tell me that I'm saying the same thing to actors, but this is something that I need to put out as well as a media person, that today Wikipedia doesn't call an actor a South Indian actor, a Marathi film actor, or a Bengali film actor. It's an Indian film actor who primarily works in these films or these platforms. There is a change there. Do you see that change happening, or is it still gonna be the same?
You know, I have a slightly longer answer, but I want to give it because I think it's important. It's an important question you've asked. I think the audience was there 20 years ago.
True.
Because of South Indian films doing well on Setmax, because of Bahubali 7 years ago, because of several reasons. I think it's the industry that never caught on. So I really feel bad about the fact that none of us actors thought we could when we always could. The audience was always willing. And I feel a lot of it is media created. So क्या हो जाता है जब मीडिया क्रिएट करता है इंडस्ट्री वाला रिएक्ट करता है जब इंडस्ट्री वाला रिएक्ट करता है मीडिया उसको देख के और क्रिएट करता है. So I think it becomes a sort of catch-22 that just keeps feeding itself. It's like this dragon that keeps feeding itself. The truth is, we are in the Indian film industry, and Badrinath Ki Dulhania, for example, is one of my favorite Hindi films. As is KGF, as is Pushpa, as is Bahubali, as is Hum Aapke Hai Kaun. It's only when I came here that I was asked or spoken to as, how do you feel about entering Hindi? I was like, but I'm in India. I didn't understand, especially as somebody who grew up in San Francisco. I didn't understand that. I'm like, I've been making Indian movies. What are you talking about?
No, it is a problem.
And you know, the acceptance has been there from the audience for me always. My film Kshanam was remade as Baghi 2 by Sajid sir, which was, if I'm not mistaken, it's Tiger Shroff's biggest success.
Yes, it is.
My film Gudachari is dubbed and it's got hundreds of millions of views on YouTube. We did quite a decent job, I think, of adapting Invisible Guest into Telugu. And it was remade with Amitabh sir, obviously, as Badla in Hindi. So I think the acceptance was always there. It's just we were slow to catch on.
But what about you both? Do you feel, you know, even when you are from the Hindi film industry, you are often segregated. Oh, मतलब ये art parallel films करती है या फिर commercial film heroine है. The segregation is by far the most important part of any business, I feel.
I have an anecdote though. The other day, I forgot about this. I don't know how I forgot. So the other day, like a few weeks ago, someone who works in my house, he just asked me, Hindi picture kutla lagla hai? Like which Hindi movie is playing?
I know.
So then I opened Book My Show and I gave it to him, saying, see whatever you want. He's like, KGF 2 let's go for KGF 2. So he couldn't tell.
Yeah.
They don't really, I feel like the divide is very...
Media driven.
Here.
It is.
People who don't know, they don't know better. They'll just go watch a movie that looks good to them.
See, beforehand, it was like, अरे Hindi films are superior than South Indian films. अभी क्या हो गया? अभी कुछ South Indian films जो इतने अच्छे काम कर रहे हैं, तो अभी हो गया कि Bollywood can't match up. So eventually there's a divide. इधर हो या उधर, comparison भी होगा, divide होगा.
But divide is not there like at the base level, no.
Yeah, not between actors also. You know, I think everybody is willing to like cross-pollinate and do films and.
See, I'm a major Amir fan. I'm looking forward to Lal Singh Chaddha more than anything.
Yeah.
My friend Chair played a big role in the film, and you know, I'm really excited. Forrest Gump's one of my favorite all-time films. I love Atul Kulkarni sir, having worked with him. So I just think, you know, there's a lot of excitement. I'm a major Amir fan. I'm okay and happy to say it.
Yeah.
ये पर आजकल बॉलीवुड चल नहीं रहा है. I'm telling you, it's headline, clickbait.
Yeah.
Negative लिखो तो लोग click करेंगे.
What about you? How many times have you been told that segregation of actors? How many times have you felt that divide?
My mother tongue is Telugu.
Yeah.
But my introduction to cinema has happened through Hindi films. But it never occurred to me that, oh, I'm a South Indian person doing a Hindi belt. Because like I was saying some time ago, when you watch Team India play, I'm not saying, oh, Rahul Dravid from Karnataka is playing against Shikhar Dhawan from Maharashtra. Like, it's not
True.
It's Team India. So I think with cinema too, I think there is a sense of, because cinema celebrates the human spirit. It's universal. All emotions are universal. So it doesn't quite matter where it comes from. And as an audience, I feel so excited because I feel like somebody sitting in Budgam in Kashmir is watching a Kumbalangi Nights from Kerala, or somebody sitting in Durgapur in West Bengal watching Super Deluxe from Tamil Nadu. It's amazing because they are getting culturally educated about the nuances, the culture, the language, the lifestyles of those regions, of those people. So I think it's so beautiful. Like bhasha sirf ek zariya hai.
Absolutely.
So I, as an audience, I'm loving this.
We were shooting in Chitkut, which is the last village of India on the Indo-China border. And the guy giving us chai goes, "Intelligent khiladi."
Yeah, it's a movie. What a name.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing.
Also, this parallel cinema thing, that you said, actually, I had a conversation with a friend about it yesterday only. I'm sure it has its effect, in the sense that you want to be an asset to your producer. Someone like if a producer is spending so and so number of crores or something, I guess they also want the security of knowing that they're getting someone who's commercially
bankable,
popular, whatever. So I mean, I hope I find my path to that route, because as I started off, my intention was that I want people to see that I'm someone who can deliver performance, because I feel so strongly about it. I love acting. So I think that became my priority. So hopefully I'll find those opportunities now where, eventually producers can feel like they can, cast me in like a supremely commercial film and not worry about it.
Absolutely. And finally, you spoke about clickbait headlines. So I have to tell you this. So I couldn't go for the trailer launch, and I remember this one video that went viral, which was about Mahesh sir saying that Bollywood can't afford me. Put in different contexts, sometimes mirch masala jaise lagaya gaya. Then he had to come and clarify. You guys had to clarify it a lot of times. Do you feel that sometimes it takes away from the whole essence of a film? And especially when somebody like him is backing a movie, which is as important as this.
So I'll give you an example. I'll tell you what happened. Let's just say, I said, dude, what do you think of my shirt? Theek hai. If I immediately put it up, he said, theek hai. And I put it a headline, it suddenly takes this very evil spin. Like you're almost sinister, like you can't even appreciate someone for their shirt. They asked you a simple question.
That's true.
So I think that's what happened. I think a lot of us, especially who are familiar with Mahesh sir's humor, know that he said it half in jest. And also, what does that even mean? So I mean, the moment they put it up as a headline is what it sort of created these flames.
Yeah.
और मुझे ये भी लगता है कि वो फ्लेम बाहर पब्लिक को फर्क नहीं पड़ता. And that's all it was. I don't think the major team ever felt the need to give a clarification.
Yeah.
On the contrary, I kid you not, even after that, we've gotten so much love. People have said, Major Sandeep Unnikrishnan ki kahani hai. We're really looking forward to it. And today, for the first time in my career, people are saying congratulations instead of good luck before the release of my film.
No, it is, because when I was told that we were almost going to watch the film, and I know that if it's being shown, ये बॉम्बे का है ना रूल कि अगर थर्सडे को मूवी दिखाया तो अच्छा है, फ्राइडे को मूवी दिखाया तो शायद वो they are not sure. This is a fact, press show. So if you're showing it 2 weeks or 1.5 weeks in advance, then of course you're very confident about your film, and I believe in that a little bit also. Like Major is a film that from the promos appeals to you. And I feel it will have a different takeaway again for everybody who loves action or emotions.
Have you heard about what we announced this morning?
Huh?
Have you heard about what we announced this morning?
Yeah, I have just read it.
So, 9 cities, 10 days before the release, across India, whether it's press, whether it's normal audiences, whether it's army janta, officers, you name it, we're going to bring them, we're going to show them this movie. They can book it on Book My Show, if I can mention it. If not, they can book it on a leading web portal. They can book it on Book My Show. We're going open with it because there's nothing to hide when it comes to Major. We've shown it to 1,700 people. We know what we got. A film family stood up and sang Janagarman yesterday when they saw the film.
Oh, really?
Film family. मतलब film family हम थोड़े शांत होते हैं ना. Like
literally, I have never seen something like this happen in like 20 years of my life. 20 years that I've known my friends. 20 years that I've known my family. I've never seen them react like this to anything.
So when we say we are so open with it, we realize what the value of Jaan Dunga Desh Nahi means. We realize the value of it because we have genuinely treated Major Sandeep's life with honor, with respect, and more importantly, a lot of joy.
Absolutely, and I hope that everything that you've done gets validated in the form of love, and respect, and also in terms of box office. Because I know that for a film, you know why I'm saying that this film needs to work? Because if this film works, then there will be many more filmmakers willing to give other people the opportunity, like you said, to try out and attempt and make a conscious move of backing such movies. Because then it becomes like, oh, ये इंडस्ट्री चढ़ती सूरज को सलामी देती है, तो मैं चाहता हूँ कि ये चढ़ता सूरज बने, and it takes us ahead. And genuinely, it was lovely having a conversation with all three of you. This is the last conversation of the day, and thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.